Chosen one, listen carefully, because this moment is not random and it is not accidental. This is a message from God, delivered to you in perfect divine timing. You are not imagining what you have been feeling. You are not overthinking. You are not broken. Something higher has been touching your life, quietly, deliberately, and with intention. If everything recently started feeling off, heavy, confusing, or misaligned, it is not because you are failing. It is because God is redirecting you. And if your spirit feels a deep recognition as these words reach you, pause for a moment and comment 777 as a sign of alignment, because this message found you on purpose. There comes a moment in the life of every chosen one when the old path no longer fits, even if it once made sense. You may have done everything right. You may have been responsible, patient, loyal, and disciplined. Yet suddenly, peace disappeared. Motivation faded. The things that once excited you now feel empty. People who once felt close now feel distant. This is not confusion. This is divine redirection. This is the beginning of a spiritual awakening that cannot be undone once it starts. God often interrupts comfort before he reveals calling, because staying comfortable would keep you small. You must understand this clearly. Nothing is wrong with you. You are not losing your way. Your soul is waking up. The discomfort you feel is not a sign of collapse, but a signal of movement. A destiny shift does not announce itself with noise. It begins with an inner unease that refuses to be ignored. God rearranges the inner world before he rearranges the outer one. He pulls your attention inward so you can hear him clearly, without distraction, without noise, without fear. As a chosen one, you were never meant to live on autopilot. You were never meant to blend in, settle, or shrink to fit spaces that limit your light. That is why your spirit has been restless. That is why your heart feels unsettled, even when nothing appears wrong on the surface. Divine calling does not arrive gently. It arrives persistently. It interrupts patterns. It disrupts routines. It asks you to question paths you once accepted without hesitation. You may have been asking yourself why things slowed down, why doors stopped opening, why conversations feel shallow, or why your energy no longer matches certain environments. This is not punishment. This is protection. God closes what would distract you from what is destined. He removes emotional attachment before physical separation. He creates distance so clarity can be born. This is how divine timing works. It does not rush, but it never misses. The war you are sensing is real. It is not external at first. It is internal. It is the tension between who you have been and who you are becoming. Light always faces resistance before expansion. That resistance does not mean stop. It means prepare. Your light is necessary, which is why it is being refined. You are being trained to trust what you feel, even when it makes no logical sense. Spiritual awakening teaches you to listen beyond the noise of fear and expectation. God's message always arrives before alignment fully settles in. He speaks first, then he confirms. This message is not here to scare you. It is here to steady you. You are being redirected because where you were going could not carry the weight of who you are becoming. This shift is not optional. Once awareness arrives, return is impossible, and that is not a loss. That is freedom. Take a breath and let this truth settle. You were called. Not everyone hears this message. Not everyone is meant to. The chosen one recognizes it instantly, even if the mind resists at first. This is your confirmation that the discomfort had meaning, the confusion had purpose, and the silence was intentional. God has been guiding you, even when you felt unsure. As we go deeper, everything that stopped making sense will begin to align. The fog will lift. The pressure will ease. You will see why the redirection was necessary and why your obedience matters now more than ever. This is the beginning of clarity, not the end of certainty. And if this touched your soul, if something deep within you knows this truth, without explanation, comment 111, because you know it. You were called. Why everything started feeling off when nothing was technically wrong. Chosen one, this is where many people become confused, because on the surface nothing appears broken. Life may still be functioning. Responsibilities are being met, routines are intact. Yet inside you, something no longer settles. Peace slipped away quietly. Joy faded without explanation. Motivation weakened even though circumstances did not collapse. This is the moment when many doubt themselves, but this is also the moment when God begins his most precise work. This is a message from God, and you are not imagining what you feel. You were called into awareness, and awareness always begins with discomfort. Divine redirection rarely starts with chaos on the outside. It starts with disruption on the inside. God often allows everything to look stable externally while removing satisfaction internally. Why? Because if he changed your surroundings first, you might resist. But when inner peace leaves, your soul begins asking questions your mind avoided for years. This is how spiritual awakening quietly announces itself, not with noise, but with restlessness, not with destruction, but with discontent that refuses to be ignored. As a chosen one, your sensitivity increases during awakening. Things you once tolerated now feel heavy. Conversations feel empty. Goals that once motivated you feel strangely disconnected. This is not laziness. This is discernment activating. Your spirit is no longer willing to chase what cannot fulfill it. God is not taking anything away to harm you. He is loosening your grip on what would limit your divine calling. You may notice emotional distance growing between you and people you once felt close to. This does not mean love disappeared. It means alignment shifted. When destiny shifts, resonance changes. Some connections were seasonal, not permanent. God does not always remove people dramatically. Sometimes he simply removes emotional attachment, so separation does not destroy you. This is divine protection, not abandonment. The mind struggles here because human logic demands explanations, but divine timing does not operate on logic. It operates on readiness. God does not move when you ask. He moves when you are prepared. Preparation feels uncomfortable because it stretches identity. You are being asked to release an old version of yourself before the new one fully appears. That in-between space feels off because it is unfamiliar. But unfamiliar does not mean wrong. Confusion is not failure. Confusion is transition. When a destiny shift is occurring, clarity fades briefly because the old map no longer works. You are walking by faith now, not familiarity. God removes certainty so trust can be built. This is why the war you feel is internal. One part of you wants comfort. Another part knows comfort will cost purpose. Light always faces resistance before expansion. Your light is necessary, which is why this process feels intense. Many chosen ones blame themselves here. They think they are ungrateful, broken, or inconsistent. That is not true. Self-blame is the last defense of the old identity. God is dismantling that identity gently, not violently. He is teaching you that your worth was never tied to productivity, approval, or stability. Your worth is tied to obedience and alignment. Feeling off is the soul recognizing misalignment before the mind understands it. Your soul speaks in emotion, not words. When peace leaves, it is speaking. When excitement fades, it is speaking. When something inside you whispers that you cannot continue like this, it is speaking. God speaks through the soul before he speaks through circumstance. This is his mercy. This phase feels slow because God is working deeply. Quick change alters behavior. Slow change alters identity. And identity must change before destiny can manifest. Divine calling requires strength, discernment, and self-trust. Those qualities are forged here, in the quiet discomfort where no one is applauding you and nothing feels certain. You are not delayed. You are being positioned. God interrupts comfort before expansion because comfort breeds attachment, and attachment blocks obedience. If he allowed you to stay satisfied, you would never move. So he removes satisfaction without removing provision. He unsettles without destroying. He shakes gently, so you listen instead of panic. This is why God's message arrives before breakthrough. He speaks so you do not misinterpret the process. Without understanding, you would think something is wrong with you. With understanding, you realize something powerful is happening within you. This knowledge removes fear and restores trust. You are being trained to listen inwardly, to recognize truth without external validation. This is essential for the next phase of your life. Where you are going, you cannot rely on approval, certainty, or familiarity. You must rely on alignment. And alignment always feels lonely at first. Do not rush this season. Do not numb it. Do not distract yourself from it. Sit with it. Listen to it. Honor it. This discomfort is shaping discernment. This restlessness is sharpening intuition. This confusion is dissolving illusion. You are waking up. Remember this truth. You are not imagining this. You are called. The war is real, but it is purposeful. Your light is necessary, and that is why it is being refined instead of wasted. Everything that feels off is pointing you towards something real. And if this touched your soul, if something inside you recognizes this truth without needing proof, comment 111. Because you know it. You were called. Divine redirection, when God quietly pulls you away from what can no longer hold you. Chosen one, divine redirection is rarely loud, dramatic, or sudden. God does not always remove you from places with force. More often, he loosens your attachment slowly, gently, and deliberately. This is why you may feel relationships fading instead of breaking, motivation lowering instead of collapsing, and familiar environments growing heavy instead of chaotic. This is a message from God, and you are not imagining it. You were called into this awareness because your soul is ready to move, even if your mind is still resisting. God understands that if he tore things away too quickly, fear would take over, so he creates distance before separation. He allows interest to fade before action is required. He lets silence speak before words ever do. This is divine mercy. The chosen one is not pushed off the path. The chosen one is quietly guided off what can no longer hold their becoming. Resistance almost always comes from the mind. The mind wants familiarity, certainty, and explanation. But your soul already knows the truth. Your soul recognized misalignment long before your thoughts caught up. That inner knowing you feel, the quiet awareness that something is ending, even though nothing dramatic has happened, that is the soul responding to divine instruction. Spiritual awakening sharpens this awareness. It teaches you to trust what you sense, not just what you can justify. God redirects chosen ones inward before repositioning them outward. This is why solitude often increases during this phase. not because you are being punished, but because distraction must be removed. Silence is not absence. Silence is space. Space is where identity is rebuilt. When the noise fades, God's voice becomes clear. When validation disappears, purpose takes its place. You may notice that praise no longer satisfies you the way it once did. Approval feels empty. Attention feels shallow. This is intentional. God removes external validation so you stop outsourcing your worth. Divine calling cannot be sustained by applause. It must be sustained by alignment. And alignment is born in quiet obedience, not public affirmation. This season can feel lonely if misunderstood, but it is sacred. Emotional pruning is not loss. It is preparation. God removes what cannot go where you are going. He reduces your circle so your focus can expand. He simplifies your life so your vision can sharpen. This is how destiny shift is protected. Obedience rarely feels peaceful at first. It feels uncomfortable, uncertain, and unsupported. Peace comes later, after alignment is chosen. This is why many people stop just before clarity arrives. They mistake discomfort for danger, but discomfort here is confirmation. The war you feel is not against you. It is against the old structure that kept you small. Your light is necessary, which is why God refuses to let you remain contained. Divine timing never explains itself in advance. If it did, faith would not be required. God reveals meaning in hindsight, so trust can be developed in the present. One day you will look back and understand why certain doors closed slowly, why certain people drifted away, why certain desires faded. What feels confusing now will feel precise later. You are not lost. You are being guided away from limitation. God does not redirect the unchosen. He redirects those with responsibility, those whose alignment affects more than themselves. You were never meant to stay where you were comfortable, but unfulfilled. That place served a version of you that no longer exists. Spiritual isolation can feel painful if you resist it, but powerful if you honor it. This is where discernment matures. This is where your voice strengthens. This is where your dependence on God deepens. You are learning to stand without leaning on what once supported you. That is not weakness. That is strength forming. God is not removing things to leave you empty. He is creating space so something real can enter. Space is uncomfortable because it feels like nothing. But nothing is not absence. Nothing is potential. The soil looks empty before seeds break the surface. What is forming in you cannot be rushed or explained yet. This is why forcing clarity will only create anxiety. Trust must lead here. Trust that God sees what you cannot. Trust that He knows the weight of your calling. Trust that this quiet pulling away is protection, not rejection. The chosen one is always redirected before being revealed. Return to this truth again. This is a message from God. You are not imagining this. You were called. The war is real, but it is refining, not destroying. Your light is necessary, which is why it is being guarded during this hidden phase. And if this touched your soul, if you felt recognition rather than persuasion, comment 111, because you know it. You were called. The destiny shift, what God is preparing you for next. Chosen one, what comes after divine redirection is not loss, it is expansion. What felt like collapse was never destruction, it was spiritual restructuring. God does not tear down what He plans to abandon. He dismantles what He plans to rebuild with greater strength and purpose. This is a message from God, and you are not imagining what is unfolding. You were called into this shift because your next season requires a different version of you. Divine redirection always leads somewhere higher, even when the path feels uncertain at first. God prepares the inner world before he changes the outer one, because destiny cannot be sustained without internal alignment. What he is shaping in you now is discernment, authority, and peace that does not depend on circumstances. These qualities cannot be rushed. They must be formed slowly, intentionally, and deeply. You may feel like you lost momentum, but what you actually lost was misalignment. What you are gaining is clarity. This clarity will not arrive as loud excitement. It will arrive as quiet confidence. You will notice that decisions become simpler, even if they are not easier. You will stop forcing what resists you and start trusting what flows. This is the mark of a chosen one stepping fully into divine calling. Your next season will require you to trust your intuition more than explanations. Not everyone will understand your choices. Not everyone will support your direction. That is not a problem. Alignment does not ask for permission. Obedience does not require consensus. God will often ask you to walk away before he shows you where you are going. This is not to confuse you, but to free you from dependence on certainty. Once awareness arrives, destiny shift becomes irreversible. You cannot unknow what you now feel. You cannot return to unconscious comfort. Your spirit has expanded, and expansion cannot be undone. This is why going back feels impossible, even if staying feels uncomfortable. You are between versions of yourself, and that space is sacred. The authority God is building in you is not dominance over others. It is mastery over self. You will feel less reactive, less desperate, less attached to outcomes. Peace will become your compass. Discernment will become your language. You will no longer chase what drains you or explain what aligns you. This is spiritual maturity taking form. What is coming will feel lighter because it will be truer. You will not have to perform, convince, or pretend. Your presence will speak before your words do. People will sense clarity in you, even if they cannot explain it. This is not ego. This is alignment. When the inner world settles, the outer world responds. Divine timing is unfolding exactly as intended, even if your mind still questions it. God is never late, and he is never careless. Every delay was protection. Every redirection was precision. Every silence was instruction. One day you will see how perfectly everything was arranged, but for now, trust must lead. You are being prepared for impact, not attention. For influence, not approval. For purpose, not popularity. This requires strength that cannot be built in comfort. That is why the process felt intense. That is why the war felt real. Light always faces resistance before it expands, and your light is necessary. Remember where this began. This is a message from God. You are not imagining this shift. You were called into it. What felt like confusion was preparation. What felt like loss was alignment. What felt like isolation was refinement. Stand steady now. Do not rush ahead. Do not look back. Walk forward with quiet confidence, knowing that what God is building in you will support what he is building through you. This destiny shift is not fragile. It is anchored. And if this touched your soul, if something deep within you recognizes this truth without needing proof, comment 111, because you know it. You were called. Embodying the calling, who you are becoming through this redirection. Chosen one, now we speak about embodiment, because awareness alone is not the destination. Recognition is only the beginning. What God is doing now is not just revealing truth to you, but shaping you to carry it. This is a message from God, and you are not imagining the depth of this process. You were called not only to understand, but to become. Divine redirection does not end when clarity arrives. It deepens when responsibility begins. Once you see differently, you must live differently. This is where many feel the weight of the calling, not as pressure, but as gravity. You feel pulled toward integrity, toward truth, toward alignment in ways you never felt before. Old behaviors no longer sit comfortably. Compromise feels heavy. Silence feels dishonest. This is not rigidity. This is refinement. You are becoming someone who moves with intention, someone who listens before acting, someone who no longer betrays their inner knowing just to keep peace with others. This is not rebellion. This is maturity. God is teaching you that obedience is not dramatic. It is consistent. It is quiet. It is lived daily in choices no one applauds. As spiritual awakening matures, your identity shifts from performance to presence. You stop trying to prove your worth. You stop explaining your decisions. You stop chasing validation that once felt necessary. This can feel isolating, but it is actually stabilizing. When identity is rooted in divine calling, external opinion loses its power. You begin to stand firmly without hardening your heart. You may notice that your reactions slow down. Where you once responded emotionally, you now pause. Where you once chased answers, you now wait. This patience is not passivity, it is discernment. God is teaching you timing, because destiny is not only about direction, but about when to move and when to remain still. This phase asks for embodiment, not announcement. You do not need to tell everyone what you are becoming. Fruit speaks for itself. Alignment changes your energy before it changes your environment. People will sense something different in you, even if they cannot name it. This is not something you force. It is something you allow. There will be moments where you feel tempted to return to old patterns, not because they align, but because they are familiar. Familiarity can feel safe when growth feels demanding. But the chosen one cannot unknow what they know. The soul will resist regression more strongly than the mind ever resisted change. Going back will feel heavier than moving forward ever did. God is also teaching you boundaries here, not walls but clarity. You will begin to recognize where your energy leaks and where it is honored. You will choose depth over availability, truth over tolerance. This does not make you cold, it makes you clear. Clear vessels carry purpose more effectively. You are being prepared to hold space, not just for yourself, but for others who will one day recognize their own awakening through your presence. This is why integrity matters now. This is why alignment is non-negotiable. Light that guides others must first be steady within. Do not underestimate what is being formed in these unseen moments. Discipline is being strengthened. Discernment is being sharpened. Faith is being embodied, not just believed. God is building something in you that will not collapse under pressure because it was forged in it. Return again to this truth. This is a message from God. You are not imagining the responsibility you feel. You were called because you can carry it. The war was real because the assignment is real. Your light is necessary, and now it is being stabilized so it can shine without burning you out. This is not about becoming perfect. It is about becoming aligned. Alignment does not demand flawlessness. It demands honesty. It demands humility. It demands courage to live what you already know. That is the work now. And if this touched your soul, if you feel the quiet weight of truth rather than excitement alone, comment 111, because you know it. You were called. Conclusion. This was your confirmation, not a coincidence. Chosen one, let this truth settle fully now. This was not a coincidence. This was not random timing. This was not imagination or emotional projection. This was a message from God, delivered to you because you were ready to receive it. From the very beginning, your spirit recognized it before your mind could explain it. That recognition was the confirmation. You were called, and calls are never accidental. Everything you have been feeling finally has a name. The discomfort had purpose. The restlessness had meaning. The strange sense that life no longer fit the way it used to was not failure, weakness, or confusion. It was divine redirection. God was not removing you from something good to punish you. He was moving you away from what could no longer hold the weight of who you are becoming. That is not loss. That is protection. You are not behind. You are not broken. You are not failing. You are precisely on schedule, even if the path felt unfamiliar. Divine timing rarely feels comfortable because comfort keeps people small. Alignment stretches you. Growth unsettles you. Spiritual awakening shakes the foundations of what you thought was stable, so something real can be built. That shaking was not meant to destroy you. It was meant to wake you. As a chosen one, your path was never meant to look ordinary. You were always going to feel the tension between who you were and who you are becoming. That tension is the war you sensed, and yes, it is real, but it is not a war against you. It is a war for your clarity, your obedience, and your light. And your light is necessary, which is why it was challenged instead of ignored. Now you understand why God allowed silence, distance, and delay. He was not absent. He was intentional. He was guiding you inward so you could hear him clearly. He was removing distractions so you could recognize your divine calling without confusion. When the noise fades, truth becomes unmistakable. This is the moment where everything begins to make sense. Not because all answers are revealed, but because trust replaces fear. You no longer need to force clarity. You no longer need to rush certainty. Alignment unfolds step by step, not all at once. Faith is not knowing the entire path. Faith is walking forward anyway, anchored in peace. You are allowed to move slowly now. You are allowed to choose alignment over approval. You are allowed to release what no longer resonates without explaining yourself. Obedience does not require permission, and purpose does not ask to be understood. God walks ahead of you, preparing what you cannot yet see. Carry this knowing with you. When doubt tries to return, remember this moment. Remember how your spirit felt seen, steady, and recognized. That is how truth feels. Calm, clear, grounded. The chosen one does not need to chase signs endlessly. When confirmation arrives, it settles the soul. This message did not come to excite you temporarily. It came to anchor you permanently. You are stepping into a season where your intuition strengthens, your discernment sharpens, and your peace deepens. What is unfolding now cannot be undone. Awareness has arrived, and destiny responds to awareness. Receive this final blessing. May your steps be steady even when the path is quiet. May your trust remain strong when explanations are delayed. May your obedience protect your peace. You are not walking alone. God goes before you, and alignment follows you. And if you feel aligned, if something within you knows this was meant for you, comment 777, now as a seal of recognition and unity. And if this touched your soul, comment 111, because you know it. You were called.